Technology has opened up a new era of entrepreneurship. Uber and Lyft connect drivers directly with passengers who need a ride. Airbnb and Flipkey connect homeowners with travelers who need a place to stay. Lux will help you park, Rover can walk your dog, Clink and Saucy will bring you alcohol. The sharing economy has enabled millions of people to access services that used to be out of reach or didn't exist. But most of these companies are still based on centralized business models, apps and websites that can be shut down by regulators or judges on a whim. Until now. A new company called OB1 has created a blockchain-based, fully decentralized online market called OpenBazaar, and their goal is to disrupt the very nature of the $1.6 trillion e-commerce industry itself. OB1's CEO is Brian Hoffman, a cybersecurity expert who, up until recently, worked for the government contractor Booz Allen Hamilton.
Pretty simply, OpenBazaar is a online marketplace that anybody, anywhere in the world can sell anything, and you accept Bitcoin for the payment for those goods or services.
OpenBazaar is most directly comparable to eBay or Etsy, but it's not a website. It doesn't host product listings or keep buyers' account information. OpenBazaar is an open-source, peer-to-peer software that users download and install on their own computers, like a BitTorrent client that connects buyers directly with sellers anywhere in the world. And because OpenBazaar is peer-to-peer, OB1 doesn't have any control over what is bought or sold on the platform.
The idea behind it was that anything, anywhere can be sold, and that really means anything, anywhere. Even the name OpenBazaar, it's almost like a fair, a garage sale, so to speak. And that's the kind of idea that we want people to come to the software with.
And since every trade is done with Bitcoin, there are no transaction fees for buyers and sellers using OpenBazaar.
The major linchpin for why OpenBazaar is different than those other marketplaces is that the underlying payment processing technology is Bitcoin. And so when people sell or buy goods from each other, they do it directly, and they do it for free because there's no middleman there to take a cut of your transaction.
But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of OpenBazaar is the promise of a truly uncensorable marketplace. Unlike other e-commerce platforms, like Etsy, which doesn't allow users to list Washington Redskins merchandise, or Walmart, which restricts the sale of parental advisory CDs, OB1 puts absolutely no limits on what can be listed on OpenBazaar.
If we were eBay and made this decision to allow people to sell anything anywhere, we would be opening ourselves up to some kind of legal liability, I believe. In this case, we're merely providing a software tool to the masses, and each user is deciding what they do, how they participate on the network. So just as someone can write something very derogatory on a Microsoft Word document, Microsoft is not liable for that, right? They provide the tool. It's up to the users.
The guys at OB1 already know what you're thinking. Their product sounds a bit like something we've seen before.
We begin with breaking news tonight. A mysterious online marketplace is shut down by the FBI.
The FBI says it has arrested a San Francisco man who allegedly ran an underground website for selling drugs, documents, and services.
The biggest criminal trial in the history of the internet is over this morning, and so apparently is Ross Ulbricht's freedom.
Ever since OB1 announced the project a year ago, critics have made comparisons to Ross Ulbricht's ill-fated Bitcoin-based black market. Even OB1's development history is hard to overlook. It started in 2014 at a Toronto hackathon when a Bitcoin developer named Amir Taki created an early prototype of the software called Dark Market.
Bitcoin, just like the internet and all these other tools, it's one of these equalizing technologies that everybody has access to it. The Bitcoin is one of a new series of technologies based off the blockchain. The blockchain is a way for a distributed group of people to achieve consensus on a large scale.
I think Silk Road had just been shut down right before this hackathon, and so that was on everybody's minds, and he wanted to prove that the technology existed to build something that couldn't be shut down. Many of us in the Bitcoin space saw that, And I personally reached out to Amir to ask him if I could somehow help the project or at least get involved somehow. His team's response was that they were not planning on pursuing the idea, that it was just merely a thought. So I did what developers call a fork the project, which is basically clone it and start it with a new team.
Unlike a company that owns an individual website like Silk Road, OB1 doesn't maintain servers or host transaction data for OpenBazaar. And since the source code is already publicly available, it's virtually impossible to shut down the network. It is this aspect of the system, the direct interaction between individual OpenBazaar users free from political oversight, that worries critics who believe the technology will just empower a new online black market. But OB1 isn't actually interested in the drug trade. They're after something much bigger.
I think it's very important to understand that drug trade, it's a very small minority of things that actually go on, especially on the internet. While it may seem amazing that the Silk Road did, hundreds of millions of dollars, maybe even $1 billion worth of illegal goods, $1 billion is nothing in terms of how much e-commerce gets done each year. If 6 months from now, OpenBazaar is flooded with just drug listings and illegal services, then most likely it wasn't a good enough solution for the world's trade. I would consider that a failure, because this is more about building a free market, not just an illegal market. We all understand what's at stake in terms of having horrible things out there on the internet is not something that we're working 24/7 to bring to the world. Unfortunately, when you're building something that provides freedom for users, you're welcoming the bad with the good. The internet could have easily been shut down from the beginning when people started putting up pornography or anything else, and the government could have shut that door. But is that enough to say that this should not exist?
Although OB1 is considering changes that would make it possible to run OpenBazaar over the anonymous Tor network, by default, the IP addresses of buyers and sellers are public. That isn't ideal for anyone who wants to sell illegal goods and services. And perusing OpenBazaar, you'll mostly find things like comic books, hot sauce, t-shirts, musical instruments, kitchen tools, watches, computers, even cookies.
This is Sweet Express. They're a store on the marketplace, and they sell these caramel waffle cookies, and they're handmade. This guy is based out of Croatia, and he's been a merchant since day one. And he actually sold so many products that he had to hire some family and friends to come in and help him bake these cookies.
OB1 intends to compete with the giants of e-commerce like Amazon and Alibaba, and they've got some significant support. In June 2015, OB1 gained $1 million in seed funding from Union Square Ventures, Andreessen Horowitz, and angel investor William Mougayar. 135,000 users from around the world have already downloaded OpenBazaar. Of course, Amazon boasts over 244 million active users, and OpenBazaar's Bitcoin-based platform is a hard sell for people who see the idea of using a cryptocurrency as intrinsically confusing or even dangerous. But Hoffman believes that the critics of OpenBazaar will be proven wrong.
Most people in life don't have an opportunity to build something that can impact millions of people on a daily basis. If there's an opportunity to build a tool that you feel can help many people to do things in a more free way, in a better way, in a more private way, in a more secure way, that's something that's very hard to pass up. If we work hard to allow users to self-police, to do things legally, properly, easily, cheaply, they will come and rush in and will overwhelm whatever could possibly come in from the dark side of the internet.